Ropp Star Gang, what up, what up, what up? I have a very good show for you. I got a very good show for you today. We're going to talk a lot about NFL news, cuts, releases, what's going on around the NFL, of course. And of course, as always, we're going to talk about Carolina Panthers. So that is not something that, I told y'all when I changed this to the Ropp Star Report that we were going to do more NFL talk. And of course, I'm going to start trying to add some of that into the show as often as possible. Of course, I'm live every single day, Monday through Friday, and even on Sundays when the games are on. So if you're into the Carolina Panthers and you're into the whole NFL world and football, and that's your bugaboo, and you're new here, well, welcome to the Ropp Star Report. My name's Clay, as always, and I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. And welcome in. We got some people already in the chat. All right, here we go. Let's get into it. We're going to start off with some Eagles news. Should the Eagles pay up and retain DeAndre Swift? We're gonna, like I said, guys, we're gonna talk about some NFL takes today. Philadelphia is in a weird situation here with a running back, and the offseason is serving up a lot of guys who are getting cut, a lot of guys that have a lot of unknowns where they're going. Obviously, from the bruising force of Derrick Henry to Saquon Barkley, the market of these running back talents is definitely out there. Now, among a lot of these guys, none other than DeAndre Swift, the hometown hero who returned to Philly, did a pretty good job there. He had over 1,000 yards in 2023. Swift had a nice little resurgence. And it wasn't just about the stats there for me. That redemption arc worthy of a Hollywood screenplay. Now, he's battled with injuries early in his NFL career when he was with the Detroit, and then he comes to the Eagles, and obviously showed that he could be durable and showed some dominance, I think. He basked in the glow of success there. Could potentially return to the city of brotherly love. There have been talks, though, that the city of brotherly love might be has some very big interest in Saquon Barkley. So don't be surprised. I won't be surprised if Philly re-signs him, but we shall see. Let's not forget that football at the end of the day is business, all right, around the NFL, okay? The Eagles aren't exactly known for splurging on running backs. Just ask Miles Sanders, right? I mean, this is a perfect example of the Miles Sanders situation, okay? Chris Mack, what's good? I think Philly's going to do Swift just like they did Miles. Probably. I mean, I could see him still being there, though, too. Again, the market for obviously these free agent running backs is definitely out there. You got Josh Jacobs as well. He obviously has, the thing was that when Miles Sanders was there, he had a Pro Bowl year. Then he comes here and then just falls apart. And we all know that and I think a lot of people believe that the reason why these running backs in Philly are so good is because of that offensive line, right? Obviously, with Travis Kelce retiring there, they're have a big void to fill there. I don't know who they have to fill that void. I don't know if they have a backup center. It wouldn't be surprised to me if they've drafted some guy to sit behind Kelce, and that sat behind Kelce and then he steps up. I don't know. I think Swift's value is on the rise, whether some of you guys believe that or not. It's obviously a dilemma here. You either break the bank or you roll the dice on another diamond in the rough. The market certainly offers no shortage of options. With the salary caps tightening, the Eagles must tread carefully when they're going through this. I know Howie Roseman, he summed it up best. He said that talent players end up getting paid. But with the running back market in a slump, could the Eagles get another steal once again? Or is this going to be another high stakes game of musical chairs and Swift may find himself missing the seat, right? So the Eagles weigh their options. They must consider the right fit. Saquon Barkley's name's been thrown around there in Philly. The Swift's chemistry with the team outweigh bringing in other guys. Can Pollard past exploits with the offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, translate to Philly success? So maybe they go to after Tony Pollard. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. And I'm sure we're going to hear more. We're going to hear more on these running back markets, obviously, because of Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, DeAndre Swift, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry. I mean, all these guys that are out there, there's teams that are looking for running backs. Ravens are one of them. Dallas is one of them, I would even say the Texans are definitely going to be looking for one. Obviously Eckler is out there as well in the distance, and LA is definitely going to be looking for a running back. So it's going to be interesting how this running back market pans out, especially for a guy like DeAndre Swift. But there's a lot of guys out there that, could replace him there in Philly. We shall see. We shall see. We shall see. In other news, what's up, James Island? Appreciate you joining the live stream. Kyrito, Eagles are talking to Colts about trading center Ryan Kelly, center out of Alabama. Interesting. We need Roshan Jenkins now. Just got word he got released. Yeah. Roshan Jenkins just got released. I know. I'm trying to get all these NFL updates into this show, but guys, if there's NFL updates that are coming out while this show's going on, please put it in the chat. Love, because I want to know what's going on, because I can't do both. But I probably got an update on my phone. So Michael Thomas is likely to be cut from the Saints. That just came out. Let's see what else just came out. Steelers are expected to meet with Russell Wilson, which I was going to talk about as well. There's also a rumor out there that the New England Patriots will trade back for the 3rd overall pick if LSU quarterback Jayden Daniels is not available. And also, let's see what else. Any other news that just came out while I was sitting here talking? Okay, that's it as of right now. So, my God, I would love him on the squad. I definitely would. Darren Waller's retiring, got cut. Yeah, we're going to talk about Justice Simmons getting cut as well. Darren Waller's retiring. Yep. So let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. Obviously, they have to make some strategic moves this offseason. General Manager Omar Khan at the helm. They got to make some shrewd moves. So the thing is what can we expect from the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason? Because let's talk about the elephant in the room, the quarterback, right? While the dream of landing a top-tier quarterback like Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, and black and gold might be tempting. Obviously, Russell Wilson news just came out that he's meeting with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so with Kenny Pickett holding the reins for now, I think the Steelers are more likely to seek familiar faces to bolster that quarterback room. Mason Rudolph could be back in the mix if the stars align. I don't count out a reunion with former Titan signal caller Ryan Tannehill, who thrived under that new offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, who's there. But again, Russell Wilson is meeting with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that just broke out. Not even 40 minutes ago. So while I was preparing for this live stream. But let's talk about money with the Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? They've got a projected cap surplus, some cap crunch contracts on the books. The Steelers have some wiggle room to play with. They got to restructure some deals to part ways with, like Allen Robinson, could provide that breathing space they need to make moves in free agency. They possibly expect to extend Pat Freiermuth there. Defensively, the Steelers have a shopping list that includes an inside linebacker, a cornerback, a safety, while alluring a big name might be tempting. Pittsburgh, I think their focus is on the value fit. I think potential targets like Patrick Queen, Blake Casham on the market. The Steelers could try to get those guys to bring into that linebacker core without breaking the bank. In the secondary, the Steelers definitely are on the hunt for a lockdown corner who with a compliment rising star they got in Joey Porter. So obviously there could be some splashy trades or big money signals, which aren't typically the Steelers' moves. Okay. Dane Jackson could be a target, who's a hometown hero there. Offensively, the line is the focus there. The offensive line is definitely the focus there in Pittsburgh. After a year of rebuilding, the Steelers really need to fill the gaps at that center position, the right tackle. They got options out there like Lloyd Cushenberry, Jonah Williams, potential on the table. So Pittsburgh could solidify the trenches and pave the way to continue the offensive success. We were talking about Ezra Cleveland yesterday. He just signed a 3-year deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So he's off the market. And I know that maybe the Carolina Panthers could have targeted him, but he's off the market too, just if some of you don't know. So it'll be interesting to see what the Pittsburgh does this offseason. Let's talk about Marquise Brown's free agency value, okay? Obviously, his journey has been a roller coaster, ups and downs with the free agent market. His value is on the rise. With star receivers like T. Higgins, Michael Pittman off the market due to the franchise tag, he finds himself in a prime position to maybe get that command attention. Of course, his name's been thrown around with the Carolina Panthers as well. As of right now, ESPN has him ranked as the number 2 free agent wide receiver. I think with the Browns combination of speed and skill set, that is probably what catches a lot of teams' eyes. And obviously with the salary cap reaching new heights, his value is set to soar past his previous salary of $13.4 million. Now, I have seen where people have said that he would probably sign like a 12.9 1-year deal, but we shall see. We need to get Calvin Ridley. Panther Nation, go Panthers. I am going to talk about Calvin Ridley today. Dear God, the Bears are going to do it again. They're about to fleece another team for a ton of picks. How does this keep happening? Well, you can thank our general manager for that one, AJ Brooks, in the first place. So our ex-general manager, I should say. Now I know that Jonathan Gannon over there in Arizona, his desire is to retain Brown. Okay. But obviously economics always plays a role in these decisions. So as the supply of available receivers dwindles and this draft is full of them, I think Brown's stock only continues to rise, makes him a lucrative target for teams in need of a playmaker. Now he's had some injury issues. We know that, but Brown has proven his worth on the field, showcasing his ability to beat coverage, make big plays. His statistic might not always tell the story, but his impact on the field is undeniable. They just don't. The problem is the Cardinals are sitting on an ample cap space, so and a roster in flux. So the decision to retain Brown, I think, for them becomes even more crucial there in Arizona. And if he were to depart, Arizona would need to address the wide receiver position either through a trade, a free agency, or the draft, which they obviously could definitely do. Beyond the numbers and contracts, there's a connection between Brown and Kyler Murray because, of course, being teammates at Oklahoma. So obviously, I'm sure Murray's desires to continue that partnership, right? So we'll see where Marquise Brown goes. I would love Carolina to grab him, but I think that I just have this feeling that Arizona is going to retain him. I think Marquise Brown is the better. I think he would fit in Carolina because of what Canales would do with him. But I also think that with what Arizona has, I think they're going to keep him. So there's a lot of eyes on him. All right, so talk about Russell Wilson. Okay, Russell Wilson talks to teams before release. All right, but let's talk about what the best fit is for Russell Wilson, because he is 35 years old. Okay. He had his downs when he in his first year in Denver, he had his worst year probably yet because of Nathaniel Hackett, and everything Nathaniel Hackett touches turns into shit. Let's be honest. Sean Payton comes there. I think statistically he had one of his best years. They pull him out before which they could have made the playoffs. So where might Russell Wilson land to receive his career and chase further success? Okay. I would say one is Las Vegas. Okay. A team that Wilson previously listed as a preferred destination, I think would be the best fit because he'd be paired up with Devontae Adams. Wilson would have the opportunity to reignite that deep ball that he's very good at and lead the Raiders to a AFC, probably in the contention of the AFC, which would be kind of ironic due to the fact that they would be playing Denver twice a year, and he would get to obviously have a little redemption there. Obviously, he's met 40 minutes ago before we started the live stream, and as I was preparing for today's live stream, he's meeting with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who I actually had number 2 on my list. Okay. I think the Steelers need a quarterback. I don't think Kenny Pickett's the guy. And maybe Kenny Pickett could be if he sits behind a guy like Russell Wilson. Because of Wilson's experience, the skill set, he would provide a much needed spark, I think, for the Steelers offense. And it would make a nice little quarterback competition in the Steel City. Next up, let's not forget what's going on in Minnesota. I think if Minnesota offered Wilson a chance to work with Justin Jefferson and a quarterback-friendly coach like Kevin O'Connell, while obviously Minnesota may explore their options in the draft instead, obviously there in Minnesota, Wilson would provide stability with them, with the leadership they need to go. But who knows? Obviously, another place is Atlanta. As much as I not want him to come in Atlanta, it makes sense because they need a quarterback. And obviously, Atlanta may have other quarterback targets in mind. I think Wilson's veteran presence would elevate the Falcons' offense. And here's the thing, our division is up in the air. I think if Russell Wilson went to Atlanta would probably win this division because I think that Wilson could find success there in Atlanta, given the opportunity to lead the charge of that team. Because I feel like Atlanta is just a quarterback waiting to happen. I really do. And I hate to say that as a Carolina Panthers fan. I'm going to be honest. I think that Atlanta would be a great opportunity. Last but not least, I think another fit for Russell Wilson would definitely be the New England Patriots. Okay. All right. I know that New England may not be imminent, but they just announced that they'd be willing to trade back if Jaden Daniels is not available. So with that third pick. So Wilson could be an enticing opportunity to come there and be that franchise, maybe help that franchise for the next 2-3 years. I don't know how long Wilson plans to play. I do agree with JP with his comment here. He is kind of on the decline, but again, after what I saw last season, and if he can put numbers up like that, if he goes to any of those teams, they are automatic playoff contenders. So if he can continue to play like he did in Denver last year, I don't see why not. But I think the Wilson and the Patriots would make a good fit as well, but they may need time to align their aspirations and make sure that these options less certain than others. Less certain than others. Let's talk about the Buffalo Bills. The Bills released Tre'Davious White, Jordan Poyer, Mitch Morris. The Bills released White. He was a 2017 first-round pick, 2-time Pro Bowler. It was a post-June 1st designation. While he was rehabbing a torn Achilles, White will become a free agent, seek opportunities elsewhere. Jordan Poyer, who's a 7-year veteran there, key contributor to that Bills secondary. He was released after starting 16 games in 2023. With the move signals a shift in the defensive lineup for the Buffalo. Mitch Morse, the center, parted ways with Morris, their starting center since 2019, despite his expressed desire to remain with the team. Connor McGovern now is expected to take over that center role next season. Deontay Hardy, the Bills released him, who was more of he was a wide receiver, but he didn't get much playing time there. A special teams player, Sarah Neal, was a part of the cap clearing efforts. And then, of course, they restructured Von Miller. Okay, that contract was saving them a significant amount of salary space in 2024. He had 0 sacks in 12 games last season. He'll have the opportunity to add additional incentives based on his performance next year. Then they reached an agreement with safety Taylor Rapp on a 3-year deal worth up to $14.5 million, who had 50 tackles and an interception and a fumble recovery in his first season with the Bills in 2023. So he's expected to take that starting role since Poyer's release. And then David Edwards and Matt Hack, the Bills re-signed guard David Edwards to a 2-year extension and punter Matt Hack to a 1-year deal to compete with Sam Martin. So additionally, the Bills are also planning to restructure cornerback Rasul Douglas' deal to save further cap space. So the Bills are making moves to help their cap space situation out because they were in cap space purgatory basically, and they're cleaning house, and I think they're going to go try to get young again. Get young again, I think, is the key there. Is Buffalo center good? Chris Mack, I don't know Mitch Morris very much. I mean, I can go look at his PFF grade real quick just to see what his statistics look like. As of right now, I mean, God, he played a shit ton of snaps. He only allowed 1 sack last year, so had only 5 penalties, and he played over 1,100 snaps. So at center, and all snaps are at center, and only allowed 1 sack. PF overall grade gave him a 61.4. Pass blocking, it gave him a 72.8. Run blocking, 62.0. I think the question would be is he's 31, so he's on the back end of his career too. So I don't know if he would be worth for the Panthers. I'm assuming that's why you asked him. Why? Oh yeah, JP definitely makes sense. I think they're going to try to rebuild that, not necessarily rebuild it, but retool it with younger guys. I think they're going to try to go with the younger route. And I get it, because Tre'Davious White couldn't stay healthy. Jordan Poyer, they had issues with him being healthy. So they're making moves for sure. Toxic Black, what's up? Wow, maybe we could get him on a cheap. I don't know, Chris. You might be able to get him for a 1-year deal. I don't know what his market value would be. But not bad. I mean, he didn't have a bad season. Over 1,100 snaps, like I said, 5 penalties. Only allowed 1 sack. So maybe we could. All right, another thing. Zach Ertz signs a 1-year deal with the Commanders. I kind of figured, the Commanders were going to go this route. Obviously, the 1-year deal is worth up to $5 million. Obviously, the reason why I knew they were going to go this route was because of Cliff Kingsbury being there. Okay, because Zach Ertz under Cliff Kingsbury actually had a great year. Now, Zach Ertz is on the back end of his career. He's played 13 seasons in the NFL. He has spent parts of 3 seasons with the Cardinals. He played 21 games under Cliff Kingsbury guidance. During his time, he caught over 103 passes, 980 yards, and 7 touchdowns. And then his 2022 season was cut short due to that knee injury that he had. So that was an interesting signing. I kind of figured that was going to happen due to the fact that Cliff Kingsbury was there. So we'll see what other signings continue to happen as we go through. If we trade birds and don't get a free agent, would you double dip in the draft? So if we trade Burns and don't get a free agent wide receiver, would you double dip in the draft? Chris Mack, I think it depends. I think it depends how many draft picks we have. If we only have enough to fill the void one time and be able to, and we need to fill other voids, I would say then no. But if we have enough draft picks to get an extra wide receiver in the draft, absolutely. I think the Carolina Panthers are going to have to get they're going to have to get more draft capital, because with the draft capital they have right now, I just don't see it. I just don't see them being able to double dip. And with the free agency right now in our cap space, I mean, we're in cap space purgatory right now after that tag and trade. I mean, we only have 13 million in cap space. So it's going to be tough trying to get a wide receiver free agent with other voids that need to be filled between, if Burns goes and you got to fill his void. We released Hayden Hurst, we released Dante Jackson, so you got to fill those voids as well. The offensive line obviously is the key factor to this offseason, which we're going to talk more about that here shortly. So, but I would love for them to if they can. Guys, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound that like button as you're coming in. There's over 25 people watching. There's no reason why that thumb button shouldn't be smashed 25 times. So if you could do that for me, I would greatly appreciate it. Seahawks, they released Jamal Adams, Condre Diggs, and Will Disley. They obviously are making significant moves over there in Seattle. I'm wondering if Seattle is going to do a full rebuild, going that full rebuild route, because and maybe they're not. I know that they addressed these because of the salary cap issues that they have had. And they want to reshape this roster. I know Adams, who's a 3-time Pro Bowl, was set to making a significant amount of money in 2024, but the Seahawks deemed that it was unattainable, and also with the fact that the guy has a very bad history of injuries, and his recent performance, I think, is the reason why that caused him to, his release. So his release actually cleared up over there in Seattle, like $6.1 million in cap space for the team. Although they did absorb, unfortunately, all of his $28.3 million in dead money right away. So that has to hurt. I mean, obviously they're going to probably spread it out over time, but again, it's $28.3 million in dead money is that's a big hit. He obviously joined the Seahawks back in 2020. Adams' time on the field has been mirrored with injuries. He hasn't been able to replicate his stellar performances that he has had. Diggs also was acquired similarly, though. Diggs, who was acquired in a trade with the Detroit Lions in 2019, have been a key contributor to the Seahawks defense. He earned 3 straight Pro Bowl selections. With a significant cap hit in his final year of his contract, they decided to part ways with him, freeing up $11 million in their cap space. And then Disley, who was a 4th-round pick by the Seattle Seahawks in 2018, he had been with them for 6 seasons. He's shown some promise as a tight end, but his release was also motivated by financial considerations, and he was also set to count for $10.1 million against the cap in the final year of his deal. So overall, Seattle's making moves, a significant overhaul for them. Obviously, they're addressing these salary cap constraints and potentially rebuild their roster with new talent. We are probably about to start 5 or more undrafted free agents, and we are on the value menu, boys. It's starting to look like that, ain't it? Here in Carolina, it's starting to look like that. And I'm also going to explain today, which is something you're not going to want to miss out on. I'm going to explain to you how the salary cap works today. I'm going to explain that to you. I did some research last night on how the salary cap works. I think it was very educational for myself, and I think it's going to be very educational for you guys. If you don't know, if you do know, great. Chargers, they released veteran linebacker Eric Kendricks, and they save around $6.5 million. Kendricks signed a 2-year deal with the Chargers last offseason, but due to roster bonus, if he remained on the team beyond the third day of the new league year, by releasing him, the Chargers saved $6.5 million in cap space, while incurring dead money and a charge of $2.5 million. So Kendricks served as the captain there, actually in 2023, was second on the team in tackles, leaves a notable gap in the Chargers linebacker room, and now they have Dean Henley, Nick Neiman are the only inside linebackers on that roster, with Kenneth Murray Jr., the third highest tackler in 2023, becoming a free agent. So this move marks a significant roster decision made under new head coach Jim Harbaugh, general manager Joe Hortitz. With the Chargers currently at $19 million over the salary cap, I expect more moves out of the Chargers, especially being $19 million over the salary cap. The future key players that they still do have, the future key players like Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, those guys will all with significant cap hits. That remains uncertain. So there's going to be a lot of moves, I think, coming out of the Chargers still here to come. Trying to see if there's any other news coming out right now in the NFL. Nothing so far as we're going through this. Again, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Appreciate everyone joining. All right, Justin Simmons was released after 8 seasons. 8 seasons. All right, Justin Simmons. The Denver Broncos have made significant moves this offseason. There's also rumors that they could be trying to trade Jared Jeudy, and they could be releasing Courtland Sutton. So they released him after 8 seasons, was drafted by the Broncos in the 3rd round in that 2016 draft, was the team's longest, basically the longest player to be on that roster, and he basically has been the cornerstone of that defense. Throughout his time with the Broncos, Simons not only showcased exceptional play on the field, but this guy has emerged as a leader in the community there. He also won the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year nominee. His impact is just beyond football. I have a lot of respect for this guy after doing a little bit more research on him before coming on the show today. And he's just been an uplifting guy, and he also has made a difference in the community there, both in Denver and in his hometown back in Stuart, Florida. But the decision for them to release this man comes as the Broncos face salary cap constraints, okay? By the recent release of Russell Wilson, Simon was set to have the 4th highest salary cap charge for the 2024 season, and his release now has saved the team $14.5 million against the salary cap, and while adding a $3.75 million in dead cap. So, obviously, it's right now, it's a business at the end of the day in the NFL. So don't be surprised if we see more of this. If we see more of this come out, don't be surprised if we see more guys getting cut. So the salary cap, free agency, team spending, and cap. So this is where the segment I wanted to talk to you about and how this kind of works things out in the NFL. How does this all kind of come together? Okay, so with the NFL salary cap, okay, now it's at a new height. Like rookie wide receivers chasing a deep pass. It's crazy because it's time I want to unpack how the implementation of this financial dance works. Okay. So this record breaking 13.6% increase from 224.8 million to 255.4 million per team isn't just a casual uptick. It's a big shift that has everyone from quarterbacks to front office, like super obviously excited, super positive. It's a great thing, yeah, for organizations. But the picture here is General managers across the league hunch over spreadsheets. They crunch numbers with that they're crunching numbers like a linebacker in a blitz. Okay, that's what they do. Brant Tillis, for example, our new, basically, I call him the COO, right? He's not the CEO, he's the COO, right? Dan Morgan's the CEO. But there is a cautiously eyeing a cap in the range of 240 million to 245 million. So, but lo and behold, the football gods smiled upon them and bestow a 30.6 million gift from the grand iron heavens. Now, Brandon Beane over there in the Buffalo Bills, so I'm using him for example, basically came out and said that they were hoping it would go up to the 250 million mark, but didn't really expect it to. So why all of a sudden this financial whirlwind, right? It's because it's all about money at the end of the day, right? The salary cap is a complex beast, okay? To the league's revenue projections, think of it as a high stakes game of finance, okay? Or financial Tetris. That's the best way I can put it, right? Where every dollar counts, right? Revenue streams from media, rights deals, right? Postseason games, local markets all factor into the equation. But when you add in a sprinkle of benefits and some overachieving teams, you've got yourself a 255.4 million cap. But before we start dreaming, or our teams and our Carolina Panthers, our team starts signing every superstar in sight, you got to pump the brakes a little bit, because this isn't a one-way ticket to a shopping spree. Okay. In fact, the NFL Players Association and the league executives are playing a little game of financial jujitsu, I guess you could call it. And basically what happens is that they're deferring a portion of this year's increase to keep things in check for 2025. So it's like rolling over that extra cash into a rainy day fund, ensuring the future free agent classes don't get left out in the cold. Okay. So then let's talk about the franchise tag. Okay. So with the cap soaring to new heights, teams flexing their financials muscles, they slap tags on players like they're playing a game of salary cap whack-a-mole. Okay. Brian Burns, for example. Okay. So don't even get me started on some other things with this tag and trade maneuvers, because it's like playing chess with millions of dollars on the line. Okay. And every move, of course, counts. All right. Checkmate. Right. But it's not just these big name players that are benefiting. Okay. It's not just about these big name players that are benefiting from this cap boost. Okay. Teams deal with massive cap charges for their stars are breathing a little easier. Okay. So take the Dallas Cowboys, for example. Okay. Their quarterback, Dak Prescott, who's carrying this whole cap charge, bigger than Texas itself. Thanks to the cap hike, they've got a little extra wiggle room to work with that financial magic. So without having to resort to contract acrobatics and make all these flips and turns. And another thing is, you cannot forget about the impact on cut designations, right? The post June 1st cuts. Suddenly, you look at a whole more attractive, right? Like a get out of cap jail free card, right? Monopoly, okay? Teams can spread out those dead money charges over time, which then softens the blow and keeps the cap sheets looking kind of nice, right? But perhaps the biggest winners of all in all of this are the free agents, okay? Because with the teams flush this cap space like a high roller in Vegas, the bidding wars are bound to reach a fever pitch. So if you're a top tier player, right? You hit the open market. You can prepare to cash in like you just hit the jackpot. Because in the end, with this whole thing, it's a win-win for everyone involved. Players get paid, teams get flexibility, fans get to watch the drama unfold on the field. All right. So that I just wanted to go over that salary cap boost and how it works. Um, it was pretty interesting to me, learning more about the cap space. Huge uptick in salary cap. We can't when we still can't have nice things. Damn, Scott. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it does benefit teams, but it only does so much. At the end of the day, it only does so much. It's really mainly for, like I said, those big key players, the free agents. That's who it's for. So appreciate everyone joining the live stream. There's over 30 people watching. Make sure you pound that like button. I would greatly appreciate it. We got 32 people watching. Looks like we got 25 over here on YouTube. So make sure you pound that like button over here on YouTube. And we got over 7 on Twitter. So I appreciate everyone watching. If you're watching on Twitter, come on over to the YouTube channel. Appreciate y'all as well. Canals already shit down. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that as well. Antonio, we're not going after them. Yeah, unfortunately, Antonio, there will be no one going. The Carolina Panthers won't go after Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. They couldn't afford Russell Wilson. They couldn't even afford him for a 1-year deal. Well, they could afford him for a league minimum, but that's about it. All right, so let's talk about the Carolina Panthers now. Got through some NFL takes. I want to see if there's any other news coming out on the NFL right now. Besides the fact that Michael Thomas over there, the Saints, is likely to be cut. Russell Wilson is expected to meet with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So no offense, Antonio. I think that's out the window anyways. But yeah, so far so good. Good afternoon, Cyburn. What's up? So the Carolina Panthers are obviously in this whole rebuild, right? We're in a full rebuild mode, okay? And there's no shortage of work that needs to be done here, especially after a 2-15 season, right, guys? It's clear that some serious adjustments are in order here. So what's the first thing on the agenda that the Carolina Panthers have to do? Okay. They got to protect their prized possession, whether you see him as a prized possession or not. Because I know we got Carolina Panthers fans that are one side, and we got other Panthers fans that are on the other about Bryce Young. But the poor guy spent more dodging defenders than actually throwing the ball, and he got sacked a whopping 62 times. Okay. So if the Panthers want Young to live up to even his hype or to a top draft pick status, they'll need to beef up that offensive line. Plain and simple. Okay. They need to beef it up like a Thanksgiving turkey. All right. They got to put all that stuffing inside of it. All right. They need, and Dave Canales and his new crew have to work and cut out for them. All right. Especially consider the pass blocking win rate of our tackles. Okay. Especially Ike Ekwonu. But it's not just about fortifying this offense, guys. The Panthers have to ensure that this defense remains formidable. They got to secure key players. I don't know if they're going to be able to get Brian Burns. He's obviously going to test the market. And here's the thing that we got to understand with the whole Brian Burns situation. That could take up all the way to week 1, and then he could just sit out and not play. So, and again, I just, like I said before about the Brian Burns situation, I think he's going to find out that his market value is not as high as he thinks it is. He's going to come back and probably realize that the contract we gave him was the best. Now, if someone does, they don't have to compensate the 2 first-round picks, even though I would love them to. You can negotiate those draft picks for compensation as well. So, it's a rock and a hard place with that situation, but also you got to think about keeping players like Derek Brown and Frankie Louvu, because these are the guys that are the backbone of our defense. Okay, you can't just let these guys walk, because then we're just going to continue to shoot ourselves in the foot like we've done in the past multiple times, right? And we know Burns is eyeing a hefty payday, and the Panthers I don't think we're hesitant to meet his demands. I think that they offered him a fair deal. And we'll see how that continues to pan out over time. But in the draft department, let's talk about that. The NFL draft, things are a bit tricky, right? Thanks to some wheeling and dealing last March, and the Panthers, of course, find themselves without that first round pick. And now the Bears are probably going to swindle some team for that pick. But there's still hope, okay? With a keen eye on bolstering up this wide receiver core, I expect Carolina to target playmakers who can not only get open across, some rack up some yards after the catch. Xavier Worthy, Xavier Legette, obviously are floating around as potential game changers in the second round. I'm a big Keon Coleman guy. I watched some of his. I rewatched his. I watched Keon Coleman's full game film and all of his NFL Combine last night. And after I watched him, even though he ran a 4.61 at the NFL Combine, when he's on the field running and playing, he really runs more like a 4.5 flat. Okay, so I'm a big Keon Coleman guy, but I do love Worthy and Legette as well. As for predictions, I mean, y'all can brace yourselves with this, and Panthers faithful, just listen up, because it looks like this team will have to resort to seeing how the Burns thing pans out. Okay, how that unfolds. Hopefully, J.C. Horn can stay healthy, and hopefully if he does stay healthy, they'll pick up his fifth-year option. But if he doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised if J.C. Horn gets his fifth-year option declined, because it's all about making the tough calls in the pursuit of the grid of the NFL. It's a business at the end of the day, and unfortunately, in the NFL, the best ability is availability. So time will tell. We'll see what happens. We'll see who's here, who's not. See who they sign, who they draft, and more to come on that. Also, guys, last night I put out 3 shorts. Last night I put out my top 10 defensive tackles in this draft class. I put out my top 10 linebackers in this draft class, and I put my top 10 edge rushers in this draft class on YouTube and TikTok, and Twitter. So go check it out if you haven't already. Let me know what you think of those lists. You can leave a comment. So go check it out. I've been putting out draft content. I've already done all quarterbacks. I've already done my top 10 quarterback list. I've already done my top 10 running backs, my top 10 wide receivers, my top 10 tight ends, and my top 10 tackles. My top 10. I did my top 5 centers and top 5 guards, because really there's only like five, or I would only say from the center and guard position in this draft, there's only 5 guys that are really, really worth going after. So, got all my draft content out there already. I'm going to do my top 10 safeties and corners. That'll be next. So be on the lookout for that as well. All right, let's move on. All these players getting cut feels like the great reset of young talent. I mean, it's just the same. I think it's the same thing that's going on with the coaches in the NFL. I mean, that's why you didn't see Bill Belichick. You didn't see Ron Rivera. You didn't see who else is an old head that didn't get hired? Who's another old head that didn't get hired that I'm thinking of? That got fired. Why am I drawing a blank right now? Oh, Pete Carroll. I mean, that's the reason why you didn't see these coaches, get hired. AJ, they're going the same route. It's about bringing in young talent. Yeah, same thing. Trying to find that in the coaching world, it's like trying to find the next Bill Belichick or the next Pete Carroll. Second and third round of the draft is cool. All but day 3 of draft is where we really need to hit in the draft. Yeah. I mean, the second round is going to be key for us. Obviously, if we don't have a first round pick, I think that they need to try to get as much draft capital as they can. I think that what would be a reasonable compensation for Brian Burns is if somehow we were able to get 2 first round picks, or not 2 first round picks, 2 second round picks. I think that's very fair. But I'd love for us, if we got a first round, I would love to, trade back and get 2 extra second round picks and get more draft capital. So I think that's going to be key for us, is getting more draft capital, because with the draft capital we have, we're not going to be able to fill all the voids that we really need to do, especially with the rebuild that we're going through. And then, of course, with the cap hit, I don't know if we're going to be able to sign any free agents. But again, you never know. You never know. This is the world of the NFL that we live in. Canales asked about Russell Wilson. It seems that the Charlotte won't be rolling out the red carpet for Russell Wilson anytime soon, according to none other than our head coach, Dave Canales. The Carolina Panthers head coach made it crystal clear that Wilson won't be obviously wearing the black and blue anytime soon. And obviously, despite the online chatter suggests otherwise. In recent appearance at Up and Adams, filmed right down the heart of Bank of America Stadium, Canales put those rumors to rest. Host Kay Adams couldn't resist bringing up Canales' history with Russell Wilson and swirling that speculation about potential reunion, right, between him and the Panthers. Canales didn't mince words, stating that the situation, basically saying the situation here in Carolina is not the right one. And he didn't stop there. He went on to commend Wilson for his bold move to Denver, applauding the quarterback's courage to step out of his comfort zone. It's clear that while Wilson won't be Carolina bound, his decision-making still earns respect from those who know him well. Obviously, that connect dates back with Wilson back in 2012 in Seattle. And Canales was the team's wide receiver coach at the time. And he obviously witnessed Russell Wilson firsthand. So the collaboration truly was interesting. But obviously that's not going to happen. So because with Bryce Young basically being here as the starting quarterback, whether you like it or not, there's no room at the end for Mr. Unlimited in Carolina. So and obviously we got news, like I said, we got news right before, as I was getting this live stream started, that Russell Wilson's meeting with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So now someone mentioned earlier in the chat, I can't remember who it was. See if I can find it. Let's see if I can find it. Trey Brown. But we're going to talk about Calvin Ridley. Biggest wide receiver free agent Panthers could sign at this point. Trade Burns and trade back from 33. It depends. It depends, Marcos. It just depends on how everything pans out. It all depends how everything pans out. Lloyd Rain. Oh, Marcos gifted the Rockstar Report membership. Lloyd Rayner was gifted a membership by Marcos Cash. Marcos, thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate that. Lloyd Rayner, welcome to the Rockstar Report. Welcome as a member. So I appreciate you showing your support. I expect nothing but vet minimum undrafted player contracts for this year. I feel that. I feel that. Marcos, thank you so much, man. That is awesome. That is awesome. Big time. Okay, the biggest free agent swing Carolina Panthers could possibly make. Obviously, the biggest ordeal is bolstering up this offensive line and wide receiver group to revitalize this passing game and get Bryce Young some help, right? Obviously, with Mike Evans off the market, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, they're all technically all off the market because of the franchise tag. But there's mere mention of this Calvin Ridley's name. Of course, that's been coming through the Carolinas. Landing hit would be no small feat for Carolina. Really, now the crown jewel, the free agent wide receiver market, maybe besides Marquise Brown. He possesses a kind of game-changing talent that could transform and definitely help this offense. I know financial constraints would be an issue here, but this roster needs a ultimate boost in that wide receiver position, and bringing in Ridley with his skill set would definitely be undeniable. He had a little bit of a rusty return last year after his suspension in 2022, but I think Ridley showcased glimpses of his past time, right? And his route running is as crisp and is as freshly cut. He is paired with fluidity in his movements. If you go watch him, and if you add in his elite ball skills and in the clutch plays that he makes, you've got a recipe for an offensive fireworks with this guy. But at the end, let's be real. The Panthers' pursuit for a guy like Ridley, to me, feels a bit like chasing a unicorn. Okay. And their current state, engaging in a bidding war for his services, might not be the wisest move, because then there's the matter of Carolina tarnishing then there's the matter of the tarnished reputation, I should say, under David Tepper, right? Convincingly, though, getting Ridley to come here because of even having having to know that, right? Hell, he had to know about the whole thing of the drink throw, right? Obviously because it was at the Jags game, but to land a guy like Calvin Ridley isn't just about the on-field productions. It's about signaling that new era for this franchise, right? It's a declaration to the league that the Panthers are back and ready to compete at the highest level. Will that be the case? Will we see that on the field even if Calvin Ridley comes here? I wouldn't say so, because again, this is a full rebuild. It's not going to just happen overnight, right? So the odds may be stacked against us. The mere attempt to secure a guy like Ridley's services speaks definitely volumes about Carolina's ambition to right the ship and restore this team's glory to its name. At the end of the day, chasing Ridley may feel like a long shot, but I think it's a risk worth taking, especially for what we need on this team. So I think it's a big swing. I think it's a long shot. I just don't know if it would really happen. Not trying to see old man Ridley in Carolina. Same, King. He lost a lot of money from taking a year off suspension. He's probably signing to whoever offers the most. Yeah, and I don't even know how much his market value is. I thought I saw something which was around, I want to say it was in the 20s, but I think Calvin Ridley's market value might not be that high. Calvin Ridley market value. I could look up his market value real quick. I'm not sure how much his market value is. I mean, his projected market value only add to the amount of teams express interest in him. His current market value is $70.3 million over 4 years for an average salary of $17.6, according to Spot Track. So basically, you'd be paying a guy $17.6 million a year. He's looking for a 4-year contract. So you'd be ended up paying around 70.3 at the end of the day. So I don't know. Yeah, it is 17. You're right. Let's talk about Luke Kuechly. Luke Kuechly, the world of sports betting. Luke Kuechly's journey into the world of sports betting began in elementary school, where NCAA tournament brackets filled with youthful enthusiasm. If you fast forward to present day, Kuechly finds himself in the forefront of another sports-related endeavor. The Panthers' partnership with FanDuel has as their official sports betting partner during an event held at the Bank of America Stadium. Luke Kuechly reminisced about his early experiences with sports betting, highlighting the camaraderie and the excitement it brought to his childhood. Now, as a retired NFL great analyst for the Panthers radio network now, Kuechly offers insight into the team's dynamics in the upcoming season. When he was asked recently about his impressions of new head coach Dave Canales, Kuechly exuded optimism, emphasizing the Canales' injury positivity track record with the quarterbacks like Russell Wilson, Baker Mayfield. Despite only meeting Canales recently, Kuechly is encouraged by the positive feedback from former players and colleagues that have talked to Canales as well. I'm assuming. So if you transition to the player evaluation, Kuechly expresses admiration for Frankie Louvu. Okay. Basically came out and said that he praises his passion, energy, and versatility on the field. And he obviously acknowledged in that interview, and I think it was with Kay Adams, the one that I watched about this, was the uncertainty of the free agency with Frankie Louvu hanging around his head, right? So that Louvu's impact obviously expresses hope for his return to the Panthers, reflecting comparisons to former Panthers linebacker Dan Morgan. So Kuechly underscores Morgan's diverse experience across successful teams, and nothing alignment between Morgan and Canales in their time with the Panthers. This kind of synchronization, Kuechly believes, that bodes well for the team's future direction and cohesiveness. So the discussion here is that the defense under the Ejiro Evero, Kuechly alludes to Evero's intelligence, leadership, adaptability, really basically emphasizing his rapport with players and his respective feedback. So Kuechly's observation offered me some reassurance in regarding where this defense trajectory is going under Evero's guidance. So on a lighter note, Kuechly shares his excitement for sports betting, particularly during March Madness, viewing it as a form of entertainment that enhances the thrill of competition, and acknowledge that the reservations in Kuechly see sports betting as a fun, engaging activity and adds the excitement to the games. Fosters a deep connection to the action. But he was coming out and saying how much he loves Frankie Louvu, thinks that we need to re-sign him, and basically was just coming out saying, hopefully that we can keep him here and keep him in that, silver, black, and blue. So, but he also came out and said that he came out ranted and raved about Peyton Wilson out of NC State, the linebacker of NC State. And he was basically on Kay Adams' show and was saying that the Peyton Wilson, who's the standout linebacker out of NC State, right, as a player to watch. He praised his speed, productivity, tenacity on the field. And I actually have Peyton Wilson on my draft board. I did it last night, my top 10 linebackers last night. I have him at number 1. Because what makes this endorsement particularly noteworthy is the mutual admiration between Kuechly and Wilson, because Wilson was openly acknowledged Luke Kuechly as a role model and modeled his game after former Panther, after Luke Kuechly. So now that Wilson prepares for the next chapter of his football journey, receives praise from his idol, adds another layer of significance to his draft prospect, to him as a draft prospect. So the comparison between Kuechly and Wilson has been a topic of discussion lately. I think with both of these players exhibit very similar traits and skills. I think Kuechly even chuckled when shown a graphic at the NFL Combine illustrating the similarities there. And acknowledging that Wilson's height and speed advantage over him with a touch of good-natured jealousy there. But despite the lighthearted banter, Kuechly is an endorsement of Wilson speaks volumes about that linebacker. And as someone as Luke Kuechly, who has excelled at the highest level of this game, right? Because a lot of people still believe Kuechly might be one of the best linebackers of all time, if not the best. I mean, if you want to put a Mount Rushmore of linebackers, somebody might have him on there, right? But Kuechly perspective on the draft prospects offered a valuable insight. If you go watch the interview, which was again with Kay Adams on the Kay Adams show, up and Adams show. That's what it's called. Basically just saying that, endorsing the kid and saying, go get him. And I think that he kind of was insinuating that maybe the Panthers should. I don't know. What do y'all think? Do you think the Carolina Panthers should go after Peyton Wilson in the draft? I mean, again, I don't think Peyton Wilson will probably be a second round pick. He could go in the first. I mean, you never know. It just depends, especially if he's getting comparisons to Luke Kuechly. And Luke Kuechly is acknowledging that and saying, yeah, he's got a lot of similarities to me. That kind of makes it intriguing. From this interview, I wouldn't be surprised if Luke takes D over next year when Evero leaves. Becomes a defensive coordinator, AJ Brooks. Wouldn't be a bad. One day, AJ, he will be, but he needs experience first. Assistant linebacker, climbing the ladder. I mean, that could be a possibility. That's what's up. I've seen Patrick Wilson play. Haven't seen Patrick, but well, go watch his game film and go watch his NFL Combine, JP. I can see why there's similarities there. All right. If we're talking about Peyton Wilson, because here, I'll show you Peyton Wilson's draft. Let me see what they got here. Let me see. I'm going to use NFL Buzz for this one. I have my draft board, but it's not finished yet. So I was going to share that with y'all. I just haven't finished it. So here's the look at Peyton Wilson. Yes, I would take Wilson, but we need more draft picks. Yeah, we do. We definitely do, Brown. We definitely do. It's tough, man. That's why I'm like, we got to trade back. So here's Peyton Wilson. This is off of NFL Draft Buzz. These guys do a great job too. They're kind of like PFF a little bit. I feel like they do a little bit more insight. 6'4", 233, ran a 4.4. I don't think he ran a 4.43. I think he ran a 4.41, if I'm not mistaken, at the combine. But I could be wrong. It could have been the 4.43. Here's his draft profile. This says his draft projection second to mid on here. Let's see. Do they give comparisons? I wish they would give comparisons. Oh, an update. They just put this up on March 1st. It's great to see Wilson put on a show at the combine, especially considering the adversity he's overcome with 2 ACL tears and a serious shoulder injury throughout his college career, which he was a fifth-year senior, he is a fifth-year senior, and he is going to, once he comes out of the NFL combine and into the NFL, I'm pretty sure he's going to be 25. But it says the medical evaluations will be crucial for him, yet he has managed to compile 2 years of consistent injury-free play, with 23 marking his impressive season yet as the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. And then a 4.43. Okay, it was a 4.43 at the combine. So there's definitely it says that he had his weaknesses, lean limbs, needs to get stronger, add bulk to his frame. Lacks pop and strength to anchor, though. Most effective when uncovered inside, chasing stretch plays to the sideline. As a pass rusher, Wilson needs to scheme and create a deception and confusion to give him a free run. It says that his speed he's got the speed to chase and run pursuit. Athletic as shit, basically, they're saying here. Violent tackler. But again, it says that he lacks pop. So I don't understand that. It says lacks pop and strength to anchor through. But then it says he's a violent tackler. Kind of confused there. Keeps moving after initial contact. Jumps inside. To a typical rush. Needs to show a larger variety of moves. Shows a burst. Okay. Well, it is what it is. But Obviously, Luke Kuechly likes him, so and there's a lot of similarities there apparently. So who knows? Who knows? We shall see how that works out. We shall see. But I doubt that we go after him. I doubt we go after him. If we get picks from Burns, then yes, we can go get him. Dude's 35. He's 25 years old. But yeah, Marco's coming in with the heat. All right, Carolina Panthers. They hired the former LSU offensive analyst, Dean Petzig, as a quality control coach. So Dave Canales has made another addition to this Panthers coaching staff. He brings in Dean Petzig as an offensive quality control coach. Petzing comes from LSU, where he worked closely with Heisman Trophy winner Jaden Daniels. Despite Daniels' status as a top prospect in this year's NFL draft class, guys, don't think that just because we hired this guy, we're going to get Jaden Daniels. Just wanted to go ahead and say that before somebody does. Petzig's focus with the Panthers will be supporting Bryce Young, who's a former Alabama quarterback, and last year, as we all know. And Petzig's background includes working with LSU coach Brian Kelly during his time at Notre Dame, although this marks his first NFL job. So his hiring reflects Canales' efforts to strengthen this coaching staff, hopefully to support Young and navigate in his second year of the league. Yeah. So we shall see what this guy does. He flies through the air when tackling, doesn't really pop and dive all the time. More of a grab and jerk to the ground. I got you. Yeah, I might agree. Luke like Jack Campbell from Iowa last year too. Yeah, I like Jack Campbell, man. I was a big Jack Campbell fan too last year in last year's draft. So it's unfortunate that we didn't get him because I really wanted him. But unfortunately we didn't. We didn't get him. So all right, let's see if there's any other news coming out right now. Obviously the Carolina Panthers, there's not much going on. Let's see if Twitter's got anything going on. Let's see if anything else is going on Twitter. Because I know Twitter's got to be booming right now with something good besides my live stream. Let's see if there is. Let's see. Let's see what we got. All right, so here's a rumor. I'm going to save that. New Orleans is expected to release Michael Thomas. Justin Simmons is definitely an Ejiro Evero guy. Okay, this must be a speech about Ejiro Evero.
But minus that game, the way that the defense has answered the bell, and obviously there's tremendous talent player-wise on the defense, but I always think that's speaks volumes to a leadership standpoint. The way that your guys respond to some adversity, and I felt like most of the year, all year for the most part, guys have always responded in a really positive manner. And I think that's because of Coach E. Like I said, I think he's one of the brightest minds I've been around, and one of the best leaders. So I think he obviously would be at the top of the list for that. Yeah, he's one of the best leaders I've been around. I think it speaks volumes to the testament of. I mean, obviously you can't can't take away last week's game, but minus that game, the way that the defense has answered the bell, and obviously there's tremendous talent player wise on the defense, but I always think that's
I was trying to mess around with it.
Leadership standpoint. The way that your guys respond to some adversity, and I felt like most of the year, all year for the most part, guys have always responded in a really positive manner. And and I think that's because of Coach E. Like I said, I think he's one of the brightest minds I've been around, and one of the best leaders. So I think he obviously would be at the top of the list for that. Yeah, he's one of the best leaders I've been around. I think it speaks volumes to the testament of. I mean, obviously you can't take away last week's game, but minus that game, the way that the defense has answered.
Let's see what else we got. A lot of people are saying re-sign Troy Hill. Trade Tua now. Okay, some Tua talk. Just trying to see. Bills are going to restructure Josh Allen's contract, and that should save them over $20 million. Holy smokes. That's crazy. Jonnu Smith, breaking news here. I don't know if this is breaking news. Was this yesterday? 16 minutes ago. Jonnu Smith just signed. Damn it. Jonnu Smith just signed a 2-year deal with the Dolphins. Can that damn post thing get out the way? 2-year, $10 million deal. Resign ISM. God, I like that. Let's see. Make it happen. Number 33, Keon Coleman. What's this? Someone gonna sign him? Is someone gonna get him? All right. See if there's anything else out there. Just trying to see if there's any updates on anything. Oh my God. You can't go on Twitter anymore without OnlyFans being everywhere. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. Let's see.
A lot of pressure, things that he's had to deal with. I'm going to lean on that experience. I'm going to lean on his poise. One of the first things I mentioned about Bryce is when you watch him play in college football and you saw him in those big games on TV, whether it was early in the season or whether it was later in the season against really good opponents, if you look behind the face mask, the eyes are the same. His countenance is the same. And he's just cold-blooded. And so those things were what really, encouraged me to say this is going to be the top guy coming out because he's the guy. He is him. Is that what people say nowadays?
He is him.
Yeah. So,
sure. You just called Bryce Young cold-blooded. I like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I
how
like
I feel
hearing
about it.
that.
And so now it's about just giving him tools, giving him the green light to use those tools in an appropriate fashion and playing a brand of offensive football that we're proud of.
What do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about that? We need that broke leg gang. Jesus, AJ. PG 13, man. I like it, but it'll take time. I don't know about cold-blooded. All right, let's see if there's anything else. My God, too many damn chicks in here.
$2024 is
Keon Coleman.
quite a heavy wide receiver draft. And as a DB, these are my favorites. And lots of reasons why, mostly
Let's save this.
because I look at guys that are difficult to cover.
Rondé Barber.
And my number 5, it's Jalen Polk, University of Washington. Now, there's a lot of talk in NFL circles about finding a Debo-like receiver, Debo Samuel, that is. And this guy has a little bit more than a guy like Malachi Corley or Xavier Leggett in terms of his total package. So I like him for teams that are looking for that role. Now, that being said, there's not a lot of teams that will specify their offense to have specifically a guy like Jalen Polk, but the guy is a dog, man. He plays hard. He competes. There's a lot to like about him. I think he could be a unique player. And at some point in the draft, he's going to be a steal. I'm not sure if he's a first rounder, but he'll be there.
So let me go based off what he just said about Jalen Polk. I like Jalen Polk. On my draft board, I have him in. Let me see if I can find him. There's my draft board. Jalen Polk, wide receiver. There's Brandon Trice, Ricky Parasol, Johnny Wilson. Where do I have him at? There's no way I have him that far down. Because I want to go based off what he just said a little bit. I just got to find him real quick. Because I don't have these separated. I think to me, Jalen Polk, just based off of what I've seen, he's definitely a reliable target, for sure. I think he would be a guy to look at. He's got the skill set, he's got the size, he's got the frame. And it's just, so I agree with Rondé Barber.
It's Florida State's Keon Coleman. I know he didn't run fast at the combine, was 4.6, but his gauntlet numbers were ridiculous. And I'm not really a metrics guy or a data purist, but when you put the film on, all you see is freakish talent and ridiculous athleticism. This guy is probably 6'3", 220 pounds, and he returned punts at Florida State. That tells you that he has the movement of a smaller player. And I think there's a huge, huge upside for him. A lot of people want to focus on what Keon Coleman cannot do. I like to look at what he can do, and the things that he can do, especially playing above the rim with all his ball skills, makes him a pretty special player. Number 3, and there's probably a 2 or 3 back and forth between these next two guys, and it's Malik Neighbors from LSU. Now, the guy didn't get out of bed at the combine because he didn't need to. 6 foot, 200 pounds. We all know that. He is a special player. He might be the most entertaining, definitely the funnest guy to watch in college football last year from a wide receiver perspective. He has speed, is explosive. The one thing that I love about him is how fluid he is running his.
So for me, for Malik Neighbors, what I see him as a compelling prospect because I think he's going to be a potential gem in this upcoming draft. I think he's going to be an electrifying playmaker. I think he's primed to make waves in the NFL. Drawing to comparisons to league's top talents. And then back to what he was talking about with Keon Coleman. I mean, for me, Keon Coleman is a combination of size, speed, athleticism. That's what makes him most intriguing to me as a prospect for a draft pick. His ability to high point the ball, and the acrobatic catches he makes. He's a potential game changer in the making, I think.
When he gets the ball in his hand,
I got Neighbors.
it feels like nobody's going to catch him. He, I think, is the best example of
I only
what
have
modern
Jalen
day
Polk in my top
NFL
10.
wide receiver looks like out of this draft, because he's not huge.
But I got
He
Keenan
definitely
Coleman
has
at
the
10.
ability to play multiple positions in an offense, and he's just fun. He also has a really good quarterback. When I put that film on, all I can say is Jaden Daniels. Holy cow, man. Number 2, no surprise here, Rome Odunze. He led the NCAA in passing yardage, receiving. He loves the deep ball.
I got him
obviously
at
that's
3.
because the University of Washington loves the deep ball. And I know I have.
I'm just going to give you my insight on him real quick. We'll let Rhonda finish. I think Odunze's athleticism is undeniable. I think it earned him all the accolades and the recognition among the elite, and his remarkable abilities. It's definitely a promising and exciting future in professional football. With scouts, I think they're going to be eagerly to watch his every move. I've got him at number 3 on my list.
I have 2 University of Washington players on here. It's not because they made it to the championship games, because both of them are very special players and unique players in their own right. It helped that a lot of people got to see them. But when you put the tape on with Rome Odunze, all you see is contested catches. He loves defensive backs to be on him or near him, because he makes 75% of those combat catches. He's physical. He wins 50-50 balls, obviously. And nobody talks about this. I know he's big. It's 6'3", 215 pounds. He was a sprinter in high school. He's probably going to be a 4.34, low 4.4 guy at that weight. Is pretty impressive. Number 1, it's everybody's favorite prospect this year. It's Marvin Harrison out of Ohio State. He didn't compete at the combine either, because why would you need to? Everybody thinks he's a better version of his dad.
I don't need to say anything about him. I like that, though, Tate. So what else we got going on? Steelers released veteran safety Canu Neal. Yeah, I already talked about that. All right. Doesn't look like much going on. No more updates as of right now. Nothing going on in the Panthers. So, but again, I appreciate everyone joining the live. I'm going to hop off of here. Got to get some more work done today. So I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you click that post notifications bell so you don't miss any new content. Don't forget to join the Discord. Don't forget about all my social media. My link tree's down below for the Discord, my social media, and don't forget about our sponsorship with BetUS. Sign up for free today. Get 125% bonus on your initial deposit. So go check it out. All right, guys. I'm out of here. Going to get some shorts out to you today as well. Peace.